everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you're joining. My name is Hayley and I review fragrances. So in today's video, I am going to be talking all about fall fragrances. These are fragrances that I feel are perfect for the autumnal fall season. They have a kind of warm, cozy vibe about them, and they cut through the cooler weather too. I am going to be doing a few different fall lists, but this is kind of like an overall fall recommendations list. And I am super excited to get into this season because I have been craving some of these fragrances so much. There are some trusty faves in this list. So if that's your kind of thing, then please do keep on watching. But before we get started on the recommendations, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. It really helps my channel out, and I would love to have you as part of this incredible fragrance community. So now that's out of the way, let's jump into the first fragrance. First up is Amore Cafe by Mancera. Now, if you are a regular viewer of my channel, you will see that I recently sampled this in a first impressions video. I only had the sample of it and I fell in love. So I knew I had to add a bottle to my collection. And what better season to add Amore Cafe to my collection than the fall season, because I feel like this is going to be perfect for the cooler weather ahead. Now, I'm sure many of you have already tried this one. I'm a little bit late to the game. I have so many gourmand fragrances in my collection that when this first came out, I was like, do I really need this? So I took my time to really play around, sample it, and yes, this one is incredible. So if you like the sound of a kind of vanilla ice cream with coffee, I believe this is inspired by an affogato, which is Italian ice cream and coffee, I believe. I might be wrong there. And that is exactly what it smells like to me. So you definitely get the kind of sweet, almost boozy vanilla ice cream. It's not lactonic, but it definitely has an ice cream vibe. And then you have that espresso to cut through the sweetness. Wow, this one is delicious. This is a new bottle to my collection, but as I mentioned, I have been sampling it prior, so I knew I loved this fragrance, and I am excited to wear this one. I'm actually wearing it today. It's my scent of the day, and I got this one from Twisted Lily. They did send it over to me. They asked me to pick something from their full selection, and this is the fragrance I picked because I've tried it and I knew I loved it. So yeah, I had to have Amore Cafe from that list. I would definitely recommend going and checking out Twisted Lily's full selection because they have some great fragrances in their recommendation section. Have you tried Amore Cafe? And if so, what do you think about it? Do you love it? Do you not care for it? I really would love to hear your opinions because I think I only have one other Mancera fragrance in my collection. I used to have a few more, but I did declutter them. And this is definitely a standout one for me recently. Anyway, I've been talking about this one for far too long, but best believe I am going to be wearing this one in the fall season so much. Vanilla ice cream and coffee. That's what you're going to get. And a little bit of booziness. Next up is Xerjoff Starlight. I cannot tell you how excited I am to wear this one again. Now, I recommended this quite a lot this time last year and probably the year prior. If I was on YouTube then, I can't remember. Anyway, this is definitely one of my favorite fall season fragrances and winter season. I absolutely adore Starlight by Xerjoff. So to me, this smells like a very expensive baklava. It is heavy cardamom. It's a little bit nutty. You get a sweetness, kind of like caramelized through it, and then an amber in the base. I adore Starlight. I can't remember if it was in my last top 10 for life, but it was definitely in the previous one. I will forever love this fragrance. I am a big fan of cardamom. Oh, I have not worn this for at least 9 months, I would say. And now is the season to pull this one out again. Now, I will say you have to love cardamom to enjoy Starlight. The cardamom is heavy, so you get that nice kind of almost menthol spiciness from the cardamom. Very fresh. There is a very tart and sweet bergamot note up top too. And then you have this almost caramelized maple sweetness through the mid and a almost transparent light amber in the base. If you like fragrances such as Magenta Tanzanite by Armani Privé, if you like Minuit Demi by Fragrance du Bois, if you like Changing Constance by Penhaligon's, you will likely enjoy this one. However, out of those three fragrances, this one has the most cardamom in it. It's definitely a lot more aromatic, but Starlight, Starlight, Starlight. Definitely one of my favorites in my collection, but I only wear this one in the fall and the winter just because of the kind of scent profile, but it is a trusty favorite. Next up is another trusty favorite, and this is Sand Dance by Stephane Humbert Lucas. Now, again, this is a fragrance that I will only wear in the fall season and the winter season. I will only wear it in cooler weather. Now, this is a very elevated gourmand fragrance. Yeah, I would class it as gourmand. It's kind of teetering on the edge, but it's also boozy. It's ambery, it's fluffy. To me, this smells like Irish cream liqueur. I don't know if you've ever tried Irish cream liqueur. That's if you, of course, drink alcohol. I can just imagine being in a comfy cottage or a cozy pub, and I'm sat by a fireplace drinking some kind of warm liquor creamy beverage, or it could just be a hot drink that's creamy, but it is Irish cream liqueur to me. And wow, 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 this one is incredible. So many people who come to my home and try my fragrance collection pick out Sand Dance as one of their favorites, and I can totally see why. Now, it is a boozy fragrance, but it almost has this kind of powdery, sweet creaminess to it as well. There is a gourmand kind of tonka beanie vanilla in the base. It's ambery, it's a little bit spicy, it's rich, and it is just everything for this season. So if you like those vibes, I would definitely recommend getting a sample of Sand Dance, because this is such a compliment magnet and you will just smell cozy and incredible too. Next up is Initio Paragon. Now, this is a slightly different scent profile to some of the others in this list. I am a big fan of all of the white bottle fragrances from Initio, but when I think about the fall season, Paragon is the one that springs to mind. I could have included Rehab in here too, but there is something really cozy and comforting about Paragon in the fall. So if you do not already know, Paragon is a very woody fragrance. It has sandalwood and Palo Santo as the main notes. There is an oud in here too, but I don't pick out oud. I mainly get Palo Santo, to be honest with you. And it kind of has that calming, relaxing feel about it, almost meditative. And there's a plum note in here, which adds a kind of sweet juiciness. You've also got lavender, which is giving that fresh aromatic vibe in the opening. This just reminds me of meditating. I don't really meditate, but this is the vibes I get. I can imagine going to a really calming space and there maybe is some incense or something in the background and it's really soothing, really calming. And I'm mostly getting smoked Palo Santo with lavender and plum. It is not going to be a fragrance for everyone. I will say that. It's very, very different. But for those of you that like those calming, woody vibes, Paragon is one I would highly recommend for the fall season because, I don't know, it just gives me fall vibes and I love this one. I love all of the white bottles, as I've already said. But in terms of a Palo Santo fragrance, this is definitely one of my favorites. Next up is an underrated gem from Ex Nihilo, and this one is called Atlas Fever. I think this is so underrated from the brand. I rarely see this one spoken about, and it is incredible. Again, this is one I would only really reach for in the cooler weather, so think fall and winter. But wow, this one is a warm, rich, almost balsamic, vanilla ambery fragrance with some red berries. There's some incense as well. I think this one is incredibly sexy. It's a real head turner in my opinion. Yes, I cannot wait to wear this one. It's warm, it's sweet, it's rich. The incense is quite light, but it adds this really kind of smoky, calming feeling about it. You have that balsamic amber. When it dries down, you get more of that tonka bean and the vanilla, and it gives off a kind of toasted marshmallow feel. but it's a lot more complex than just being a toasted marshmallow scent, especially with the incense. And I've seen a lot of people compare this one to commodity milk, and I do get the reference, but for me, this is a lot more complex. So if you do like commodity milk, I would recommend checking out Atlas Fever. But as I've mentioned, it's a little bit more balsamic. You've got the red berries, you've also got the incense. And even maybe if you do not like commodity milk, you might like this one because it is nowhere near as lactonic. But yeah, if you have tried Atlas Fever before, please do let me know what you think about it, because to me, it is one of the most underrated fragrances from Ex Nihilo. Next up is one of the newer fragrances from Dries van Noten, and this is Camomile Satin. Now, I've only had this in my collection for 2 weeks, but I know I am going to be wearing this one so much in the fall season. I would wear this year round. I feel like you can wear this one year round, but it will be perfect in the fall too. Now, how do I describe this? This is a very unique fragrance in my collection, and it's one that I do not feel it will be for everyone. Now, it does have a vanilla note in here, and I think a lot of people will be drawn to it because of the vanilla note, but this is an aromatic green vanilla to me. It, of course, has chamomile in it, and chamomile is just one of my favorite notes in perfumery, and I also drink a lot of chamomile tea, but it has this kind of green touch to it as well. I pick up a smokiness that I don't know if anyone else is getting, but it's almost like a smoked tea when it dries down on my skin. There's a little bit of rose and a little bit of orange blossom, but I don't find this overly floral to me. This is more of a herbal green vanilla that's quite relaxing. I pick up some lavender too, but it's not a vanilla forward fragrance in my opinion. It's just a herbal, sweet, aromatic, calming vibe, and I am totally here for it. I think it is incredibly unique. It's a little bit musky too. But again, like I said, I do not feel like it will be for everyone. I love Soy Malakis by Dries van Noten, and I almost feel like this is the fresh sister. It's not as sweet, but it's very wearable, very signature scent worthy, and you will smell different just because of that unique scent profile. But you have to like your kind of herbal green vanilla fragrances to enjoy this. If you've tried it, please do let me know if you get that smoky quality. I don't know why I get that. On my skin, it does pull a little bit like smoked tea on the skin, which I totally love. But yeah, this one is definitely great for all seasons, but I will be rocking this fall season. So those were all of the fragrances that I wanted to go through in today's video. As already mentioned, I am going to be doing more fall recommendation lists, so do stay tuned for those. I will do a gourmand specific list because I know some of you love your fall gourmands, but I would love to know your recommendations for the fall season. Please do let me know down in the comments below. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so much, and goodbye.